you know, we came down here, we met the mayor, met all these other people, and they didn't really do anything for us. As soon as I met with Galina and she told me what she wanted, and the passion and the commitment and the belief in the project, and the fact that she really had her heart in it, I couldn't let her down. I couldn't back away from it. So to see her there today, you know, I don't deserve it, but she's giving me the credit for what all the others have done. And all the builders here, all the teams that have come here, they've put a lot of sweat into this job. And to achieve this in the time they've done, I think is fantastic. What's good about this project is that it breaks the rules here, the old Soviet Union rules of everything being regulated and everything being controlled by the state. This is a community here, Galina and the people here, that have decided they wanted this facility. They saw the bigger vision of it, the need for the local community. A facility like this, daycare centre, that gives them all of the activities that are needed to back up a local community.
Lovely. Yeah, it's great to see the centre now in operation. I want to see actually how all of the activities now can work in that centre to maximise the benefit from it. But I know with Galina and her heart and her commitment, I know she is doing her best to solve for these people. I've full trust in her.
When Duncan first came here 2 years ago, Galina had explained why the daycare centre was needed. Since the departure of the old Soviet healthcare system, projects like these are the only social services available to the poor of southern Belarus. 2 decades of poverty and isolation have all but destroyed the sense of community Zhytkovichi once had. It's one of the problems the centre was designed to redress. Duncan joined Galina on a house call to a local family she knew was having difficulties. This hands-on approach is Galina's forte.
Has she been down to visit the new centre?
А вы уже в новом центре были, вот который уже?
Нет, еще ни разу. У меня не получалось. Просто я работаю. Так как я работаю, я не могу попасть.
And Galina is asking, would you mind if our van comes here and brings your kids to the center just to do some art? And she says, yeah, I don't mind, especially my older one. So she's very artistic, so and she sings, she's a perfect singer. So she would like them to come. Unfortunately, we have families even worse than such family.
Is that the typical food they eat, by the way?
Это вот типично, что они кушают, да? It's typical food, but at least the house is more or less.
Есть такие семьи, что даже хлеба нету.
And some families, they don't even have bread. And you probably noticed she poured some like hot water into the glasses. And over there, she just had a spoonful of sugar.
And is this the food for your family?
Это вот вы для себя только.
Да, только для семьи, для себя.
The farmland of Zhytkovichi is rich, but contaminated with radioactive cesium. All the food grown here carries a long-term health risk, a risk that the poor are forced to take every day.
Somebody from the daycare center come to the house and just try to explain them that you have to look after the kids, and when they know that they are coming, so at least they clean their rooms and do something. And thanks God, this family, nobody drinks in the family.
The next day, the journey south from Zhytkovichi would take Duncan to the edge of the exclusion zone around Chernobyl where his accident happened. Even now, 2 years on, he had virtually no memory of what happened. That was about to change.
I'm going to retrace our steps and see if it triggers off any memories. I think it will be good for me to go through this and at least have made the effort to reconstruct with all of the team around to see what we can put together.
He was pale.
I imagine when he left the van, like anyone else, the last thing he's going to think happened to him is he'll have an accident.
Soon, Duncan would meet the man who saved his life. witnesses to the accident that nearly killed Duncan Stewart in 2003. He himself had barely any recollection of it. 2 years on, those who were with him that day retraced their steps.
My last, probably, memory was seeing the nuclear reactor from the van as we were driving, with the red settings on.
The smell and the taste of radiation, which is undeniable, you can get. You don't know what it's doing to you, you're worried about what it's doing to you, you're trying to focus on doing your job. And at the end of that long day, we were driving back, and it was just before dark.
And I was conscious that this really was setting up a really incredible sky for maybe getting a shot of it or something. And I think I decided to get this particular shot. And I don't remember after that.
I imagine when he left the van, like anyone else, the last thing he's going to think happened to him is he'll have an accident. He was just going to get one last shot of the reactor, probably.
We had warned him not to be long because of the radiation levels, because we were in this kind of no man's land area. And when 5 minutes had gone by, we sort of kind of felt, he's a bit long.
I don't remember, I don't remember getting out of the van, for example. I don't remember any of that.
So that was the first kind of sign that something had gone wrong.
So I asked Natasha to translate to Slava, to just check around the area where Duncan had been walking towards, and just to see if he could find him to call him back.
So I'm assuming I went up the tree to find a spot where I could see the Dnieper River and the reactor chimney.
When he went to look for Duncan, so he found him lying on the ground. He was pale, but he was not saying anything to him. So he tried to make him walk, but he couldn't. So then he carried him.
He was in a disheveled kind of state. He was missing a shoe, but there was no really visible or bad signs of injury on him. So we set off back for the hotel. We carried him upstairs. He seemed to recover a little bit. I think he mentioned that he'd had a fall or something. I think at that stage we'd put two and two together anyway. So we kind of thought a combination of tiredness, shock maybe of having had this accident. We looked at him, there was no, I couldn't see any, there was nothing broken that we could see.
Julian went over and you were very clammy to touch, and you'd gone very grey in your face.
I know a very small amount of first aid, but I knew enough to check his pulse and stuff, and it was very irregular and stuff.
So I knew something was wrong, and Natasha went downstairs.
We didn't even know if there was an ambulance around where we were, because this town is very much cut off. So we rang for, and it turns out there was an ambulance from a local hospital, and we waited for that to arrive.
About 20 minutes later, this very big Russian nurse came in with a stretcher in here, and you were kind of taken head first, and they started to move you down the stairs.
Down the stairs.
Do you
I
remember
remember my
any of that?
head first, yes. That I do remember.
Yeah.
I remember going down the stairs on a stretcher now, head first. Yeah. I just felt suddenly this, sudden feeling I was dying. And I panicked, yes, I did.
I think that night was pretty serious in the hospital. It was just a roller coaster. It really was a roller coaster of emotions. But the hospital was just an eerie place as well. I mean, there were fantastic people in there. There were great doctors working with very limited resources. 11
out of 12 ribs were broken, and then you lost a lot of blood, and there was pretty serious there as they nearly punctured your lung.